to let us know in the chat if you'd like to ask a question. And Helene, go ahead and start us out.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Helene, how are you today?
Good, thank you. So can you elaborate a little on what appealed to you about adding Alex DeBrincat to the team?
Well, I mean, I think we'd all describe him as a goal-scoring winger. We talked, I think, at right around the free agency opening there about potentially adding more goal-scoring ability to the team, and I think that Alex definitely fits that bill. I think he's a very, very intelligent hockey player. Has shown he can score goals at every level, at the junior level, at the NHL level. But very intelligent player and fit in nicely on the wing with us, whoever the coach decides to play him with.
Do you think this makes your roster look more able to compete for a push for a playoff spot, maybe?
Well, I would say I think we're a better team today with Alex DeBrincat in the lineup. I hope all the changes we've made, additions we've made to the roster, make us a more competitive team.
And just with everything that happened with Filip Zadina, I mean, is the upside you gain almost $2 million in salary cap space?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, just you had spoken last week about you hope he will continue to develop here.
Yeah.
But with what happened now, that you gain some cap flexibility out of that contract.
Yeah, that's a positive. I mean, again, I go back to it when we signed Filip a year ago. The feeling was, he's going to get better and continue to play a bigger role. Mostly through injury this year, that didn't happen, and it's yeah. So I'd rather have $1.8 million in cap space than potentially a player playing in the American Hockey League. Filip wanted a fresh start. He's able to do that. Good for him. And we were able to put the not only the cap space but the actual dollars into other things.
And lastly, you said last week you needed sleep and scoring. So now you've addressed scoring. So can you sleep now? Can we go on vacation now?
Yeah. Well, we got a few things to do this week, but I think Helene, things will dramatically slow down now for us.
Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Max?
Steve, when you say you got a few things to do this week, is that administrative, or are you talking, is there more? Do you think you're not done yet roster wise?
No, yeah, more administrative stuff, just some off-season things, which I won't bore you with the details. It's honestly not that exciting.
What made 4 years the right term for you guys with Alex?
Well, one, it was a number we were both comfortable with. Bring a player in. Things are changing. You're starting to see more players, at least this offseason, and I think it might be a trend, but more players signing shorter term contracts, not necessarily going the full 7 and 8 years. And again, we discussed 4 and 5 years, and ultimately we're both comfortable doing 4 years.
How would you I know you talked about everyone would characterize him as a goal scorer. He's hit 40 a couple of times. Do you see that as a potential for him to do again in Detroit?
Sure. I'm not going to set a number on it. I think he's more than a goal scorer, though. I say he's a very smart hockey player, passes the puck, really manages puck extremely well. I think he's a good line mate to play with. He's not just a shooter, but he can make plays. He's valuable on the power play and does a good job 5-on-5. So, I don't even know what your question was. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, you got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Ansar?
Yeah, hi, Steve. Just getting a bona fide sniper like this, just talk about what that does for the team in general, his line mates, just having a guy that you can really count on to produce in a fairly big number.
Yeah. Well, they're just limited number of actual, like what we call, I don't know what the true definition of a goal scorer is, but there just aren't a lot of them around the league, that guys that can get it on their stick, and anytime they shoot it, it looks like it has a chance of going in. I think we categorize Alex in that mold as a sniper. Just one shot can change a game. I think, with our players, you've seen, at the deadline, myself trading actual hockey players for draft picks, and, the players, they have to have people to play with. So I would think without, I ran into Ben Sherratt in the hallway on my way upstairs. He's excited that we brought not only Alex, but other players in, because they want to be as competitive as they possibly could be. So I think the guys will feel good that, we've added NHL quality players to the roster, and we hope to be more competitive, and the players will feed off of that.
And he's obviously proven that size isn't an issue with him. I'm just wondering, when you go back to when he was at Erie and looking at him and scouting him, just what were your impressions of him? And I mean, for a second round pick, pretty rare to go right from juniors to the NHL. Just what do you remember from watching him back?
Well, I remember, and it happens a lot. The only question was, geez, he's not very big. Will he be able to play in the NHL? And he's shown he's able to do that. One, for two reasons. Probably one, he's very intelligent and he knows how to play, and he's a competitive guy. So we talk around the draft about, it's not an exact science. Every team had a shot at him, and for whatever reason, he slid through the cracks to the second round. But has proven to be a really good player. And I think that you got hockey sense and you're competitive. That really gives you a chance. Combine that with the ability to shoot the puck in the net. He's a pretty good player.
Thanks, Steve.
Art?
Hi, Steve. I'm kind of curious, even though I guess during his formative years, you would have been in Tampa, but did you have any kind of relationship with Alex? Do you know him at all since,
No.
he grew up in this area?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Watched him play in Erie in junior prior to the being drafted, or in his junior career. Obviously playing against the Blackhawks, but no, actually, I'm not even sure I've ever met Alex before. We talked on the phone last night. Certainly aware of his career as play going back to junior.
Steve, how long did this take to really play out from when it was real serious? You contacted Ottawa, maybe his agent, however that worked, to actually get this deal done. Was this a long, laborious process, or did it come together rather quickly?
It wasn't long and laborious at all. We talked, a little bit around prior to the draft, and then a little bit prior to July 1, and then really got the trade done, quickly yesterday, and was able to get a contract done quickly after that.
When you look at where the team is at right now, everyone's still excited about the $8 million below the cap, but I would imagine, is your philosophy, you don't want to hit the ceiling, right? You would have liked to have couple of million maybe to play with, considering professional sports, there's always an unforeseen adversarial thing down the road. I mean, you don't plan to go to the ceiling, right?
Not today, I don't. I'm not going to rule anything out, Art. Like if there's a great player out there and we can acquire him or something, that forces us to go, where we would strongly consider it. We're not, we're not restrained by finances. We're restrained by the salary cap. And we're not just going to go to the cap just to go to the cap, but certainly if an opportunity comes along that makes our team better, that forces us to it, we're prepared to do that. Having said that, I'm not aware of any scenario that's going to happen at this time. So I don't see us doing a whole lot more.
And one final thing, to put a whole bow on the Sedina thing, were you surprised that it came to termination? I mean, it seemed last week when you talked about it, if he cleared waivers, and we all assumed he would because of the contract, that he would come to camp and try to win a spot. Or have you ever gone through anything like this before, where a player wants such a fresh start that he's willing to walk away from millions of dollars?
Well, I haven't done it very often, but we have terminated contracts, and that players were looking to move on, whether they go back to Europe or tired of playing in the American Hockey League or whatnot. So we have had it. not so much on a contract similar to Phillips. But I gotta, was I surprised a little bit? I discussed this, I brought it up with Philip earlier in the summer, discussed it with his agent a little bit. And ultimately, if he wanted a fresh start, like I've tried to trade, we put him on waivers, couldn't move him. This is the only way to get a fresh start. So, I really respect him for making this decision. Like, he's not a dumb person. He knows what he's given up. But his career is more important than the dollars, and I wish him well. I really do. As I'd said last week, you asked me about, is there any animosity? And the player wants to play. I want him to play. There's no guarantees in that, but Philip Zadina, my experience with him was always good. He's a nice young man. He's worked hard. It hasn't worked out. I wish him good luck somewhere else.
Bob?
Steve, with this addition and also with Gostishby here from free agency, do you feel like you've significantly upgraded your power plays potential?
I think so. And potential being the key word, Bob. I hope it works out, but Gostishby, he can really shoot the puck. He has been on good power plays. He can score from back there. So it gives the coaching staff another option and a left shot option on the top, which, with Mo Sider, potentially Jake Wallman playing a little bit on the power play, and Shane, I think so on the back end, it gives you different looks, righties and lefties. And then Alex, he's normally played off the hash marks on the left wing. I expect him to play there. What Derek and his staff decide to do, who plays where on it. I think we have more options. I think we have more rights and left shots, a bit better balance. So I would hope that both of our units we're a little deeper, that we can put both units out there, be a little bit more effective, in turn bump that power play percentage up a little bit.
When you go through something like this, obviously you don't know you're going to get the player until it actually happens. Does experience just teach you to remove emotion from it and it's just business?
Yeah, pretty much. There's always an emotional element to all of this stuff, like you get to know the players personally, the ones you're training for, or trading away, the players that you're acquiring. You do your best to get to know them, or you do your best homework to find out what they're really like on and off the ice, and make sure they're going to fit in. And then ultimately, I always try to say, what is the best thing for the hockey club? Ultimately, that's my job. In any decision we make, is always putting the interests of the team first, and try to do that.
Thank you.
Nolan?
Hey, Steve, when you look at the totality of the trade, how significant is it to you that you do get to pick between those 2 first rounders next year?
Well, it gives us a little protection. Ultimately, the only control we have over what Boston does is when we play Boston. I don't know, we play them 3 or 4 times this year. So it gives us protection. It gives us some options. I don't know where we're going to finish in the standings this year. I hope we're creeping forward. I don't know. I think Boston is still a very good team. They've still got some work to do with some of their own free agents, it looks like. But we think they're going to be a good team. So it kind of gives us a little bit of protection. Boston's pick is protected on their end, and that if it were to be a top 10 pick, they have the option of keeping it or giving us next year's pick, which in turn would give us the option of either using ours or Boston. So it gives us a little protection if one of these picks is very high. Ultimately, if both of them are very high, Ottawa's going to be very happy with what they acquired in the trade.
Sean?
Hey, Steve, obviously you've been working on this since around the draft and before the draft, but was there, when you look back on it, was there much as a surprise that a player like this was available after the nature of his big move from Chicago to Ottawa last year? When you look at kind of before it got to you start negotiating, was there a surprise that a guy like this would even be available?
Not really. It's a surprise, when we hear about it, it's kind of well documented, not only players like Alex, but a few of these younger guys that have big high QO numbers. It's interesting follow what the team is going to do with them. We saw Timo Meier in a similar situation and be traded in San Jose. It looks like just watching from afar, a lot of the US kids have a desire to, come and play in US markets. And you could ask each of them what their reasoning is for that. So when we're following all this stuff in the media and when we find, when we hear that Alex is available, I can't say we're shocked, and then, as we find out that is actually a possibility that they might move him, started to think about it. And is this a good fit for us? Does it make sense? And ultimately come to the decision that, yeah, we think it does.
With him, and I know you said you only talked to him on the phone yesterday briefly, but did he talk to you at all about he's coming back to where he grew up, Michigan, or anything? Like, did you guys have any of that type of conversation?
Yeah, we talked maybe 4 or 5 minutes last night and just touch base, try to get him maybe down. I think he's in the area this week, maybe pop down to LCA here one day. But yeah, he had just expressed a real excitement about playing in his home city, growing up here in Detroit. So, I think it's a little bit for us, a bit of an added bonus to have some of the local players, Dylan, Andrew Kopp, himself, Austin Zarnik's in the organization as well, to have some local ties. I think it's great for these players, but it's great for our market as well.
I thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Kevin?
Yeah, Steve, you've obviously given out long-term contracts before, and you alluded to this before. It's kind of trendy now to maybe take in the middle range, but I know each contract just based on the individual and so forth and the age. But do you have kind of a philosophy about contracts? Do you prefer shorter deals for the flexibility? And because I know some GMs like to lock guys up, get those free agent years. But in general, how do you view contracts?
I'm not sure, Kevin. I have a hard set philosophy on contracts. There's risk in every deal you do. You do short-term risk, you lose control of the player on the back end, and long-term risk is, as we know, is a lot of things can happen on a long-term that affect a player's ability to perform on a long-term deal. So what is my philosophy? One, I try to make a deal with the player. I try to understand what they're looking for and what's important to them in trying to get a deal done. But ultimately, I guess I would say I'm comfortable. I prefer these, I'd call this a middle term deal. What exactly is middle term? I don't know. Is it 4 and 5? Is it 3 through 6? I don't know. But I like these midterm deals. You get to know the player. As I say, I've watched Alex DeBrincat play his entire junior career and pro career. So I know the player. Now you get him in an organization, you really get to know them and your comfort level, and we can go back at it. But these midterm deals, from mid-length term deals, I think are a good compromise for both sides.
Thanks, Steve.
Stoney?
Hi, Steve. He's one of the few players that have had over 40 or more goals and 100 hits in a season. So you can't characterize him as a one-way player. Is his feistiness, how much of an advantage is that? And is there anybody who he reminds you of, maybe even back in your day?
And I think a guy, not a perfect fit. They're a little different players, but coincidentally we're Swedish. Where Håkan Lubin, he's even smaller. Mats Naslund really smart, effective players who were really good all around hockey players. I think Alex, comparing him to those two, he's a little bit more of a shooter than them. But really smart hockey players who were very effective all over the ice. And, you know, they weren't dumping the puck into the corner necessarily and going in and running guys, but they were still very effective players. And so that's kind of a similarity for me, who I would see him as that type of player. Although, again, they would be more, I wouldn't categorize either of those as strictly goal scorers or playmakers. And I think they're a bit of a blend. I'd say Alex has shown a bit more of a goal scorer, ability to put the puck in the net at this stage.
One other thing, was there any trepidation from either side? To some people say you can't trade within your division. Was that even an issue at all?
No, I've traded within the division. Ultimately, I say I try to make the best deal for the team. And I assume Pierre made the best deal he could. I don't know what other options they had. I don't have the ability to talk to every other team, or I do, but they're not going to tell me what they're doing. So no, I think you make the best deal for your team, and you don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Carly?
Quick one from me. It seems like the common theme with the players you've been signing is that they genuinely want to be here in Detroit. And now with DeBrincat being a hometown kid, as the general manager of a team that's working its way back up, how much weight does that carry when you sign a player?
Well, generally, I think every player signs somewhere. If they're free agents, they want to be there for some reason. I think the players with local ties, I think there's an added benefit to it. I think they really, when you target a specific place for the right reasons, for, very good reasons, and not just going, say, to get the top dollar. I think a player is more invested in it. So, and I think it's good. It's really good in our market to have players with local ties. Our fan base, a lot of our fan base may have gone to school, may have played minor hockey against these guys, or maybe even played minor hockey with them or whatnot. So I feel it's good for the organization. Ultimately, I want really good players. I don't care where they're from, but I think it is a bonus. I think there is some value in having these players that want to play in Detroit. And in these particular cases, they want to play here, interested in playing here because they have some local ties.
Thank you.
Last question, Sam?
Steve, I'm curious, once you kind of got past the actual trade and on to talking with Alex and his representation about an extension, what was your pitch to him about what you can see the Red Wings accomplishing in the next 4-year window with him in the lineup?
You know what? There wasn't a pitch. Alex DeBrincat's an astute young guy, can look at our organization, see the players within it. He did mention he played golf with Dylan Larkin earlier this summer, and brought up the possibility of maybe being traded to Detroit. But really, I didn't have a sales pitch. I talked with his agent. It didn't take that long. That why we felt he'd be a good fit, and kind of talk about our organization. I think even the things happened quickly on July 1, but the players have done their homework. They look at organizations where they think they might have an interest. They look at the depth, where the actual team and what's coming, and make their decisions accordingly. So these guys are pretty well informed, and it really wasn't a sales pitch on my end.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, that's all the time we have today with Steve. Steve, thank you very much. We'll be back shortly with Alex DeBrincat.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Recording in progress.
Continue this morning with Red Wings forward Alex DeBrincat. Please let us know in the chat if you'd like to ask a question. And we'll start with Helene.
Sorry, I'm just getting Alex back in the picture. There you are. Okay. What was that phone call with Steve like yesterday?
Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, we found out that everything was going to be done, and he called me a little later last night, and we just chatted for a couple minutes. Just told him I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for the opportunity that this team's given me, and he just kind of went through what would be kind of our team, what it's like, and it was just a good chat.
Are you in the metro area, Detroit metro area now, or?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. How exciting is it to come home? I mean, I see you're wearing a Pistons hat too.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Obviously, growing up here and rooting for the Red Wings when I was younger, it's definitely a dream come true. And I do have to say, I don't think anyone's happier than my parents. So it's a full family. Everyone's happy, and it's a good spot for me.
What do you how competitive do you think this team can be now with you? And are you confident you can very quickly get back to that 40 goal score that you were even just 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely confident in my abilities. I think that this team's a good fit for me, and obviously, hopefully we can get back into the playoffs. Obviously, that's everyone's goal, and hopefully it's sooner than later. And we just got to keep growing as a team, and I think just putting the work to get back there. So yeah.
Have you decided what number are you going to wear?
I think I'm going to be number 93.
93. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Ansar.
Yeah, hi, Alex. Steve was just talking. You mentioned that you played golf with Dylan recently. What did he tell you about playing for this team, this organization, and what appealed to you about just coming to this rebuilding team and this roster?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of obviously all good things. I've kind of known quite a few people who have played here before, so he didn't have to go into it too much, but I think it was just a good fit for me, and I think me and him both agreed that it'd be fun to play together, and we're just happy it's gonna happen now, and we can move on and hopefully gain some chemistry.
And just also just talk a little bit about your style of play, your game. Just in addition to obviously scoring, how much do you enjoy just being feisty and just kind of the abrasive part of the game?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's maybe not a huge part of my game, but I try not to back down from anyone. I think being a smaller forward in the league, it's sometimes people try to bully you around, but that's something I try to just not let get taken too out of hand, and I think I can hold my own. So it's definitely keeps me engaged in the game, and but that's not my main goal in the game.
Thanks, Alex.
Yep.
Kevin.
Yeah, Alex, what's your favorite memory of rooting for the Red Wings when you were young? What do you remember about the team? Or
I mean, I think the obvious answer is them winning, and 08 was probably the one I remember the most. Obviously 02 I remember a little bit, but 08 I was really invested in. I think they were just so successful through my whole childhood. It was so fun to watch, and that's a big reason why I play the game. And to get to that point, that success is definitely a goal of mine, and hopefully we can be successful here again.
And how when you came, did you come back during the summer when you were with the Blackhawks or the Senators? Did you come back to Michigan?
Yep, I've been back in Michigan for the past 3 or 4 summers now. So my first couple of years in Chicago, I stayed there, but I've been coming back ever since.
And did you work out with the Red Wings? I mean, do you know a bunch of them, or?
I know a couple. I think that COVID year, there were a lot of guys still here. So over the summer, so I would skate with them quite a bit. But obviously the rosters change, from year to year, and but there is a couple familiar faces that's nice to go into, having that familiarity and just being able to create those friendships and get playing hockey.
And then finally, it just seems like, and Steve was just talking about this too, it's almost become a trend that, top free agents are taking middle ground contracts, and then, you get one more kick at the can, and you're not sold that you can't get is that you're thinking and accepting a 4-year deal versus going for long term?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, this contract, just worked out best for both parties. And I think it was a good fit in that aspect. So, I've said it before, I usually let my agent deal with most of that. And, I'm just here to play hockey. So, I think it seems like a good fit for both of us. So, I'm happy we got it done.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
Yep.
Rosie?
Hey, Alex, when you look back on those first early years in Chicago, how beneficial was it to be, taking in some of those leadership lessons from those big names? And then how has your leadership evolved since you broke into the league?
Yeah, for sure. It's huge. Going into that locker room in Chicago, there were so many great leaders that I learned from, my first couple of years, and eventually evolved into the leadership role myself. And, I think, Taser's one of the best captains in the league. And, he's really, he cares about everyone in that room so much and just has, natural leadership abilities. So, kind of learning from him was awesome. And, I try to take some of his stuff, his leadership style, my own. Obviously, I'm sure there's great leaders in the locker room already, but, just hoping to add to that.
Appreciate it.
Mac?
Alex, I'm curious, playing against the Red Wings the last few years, where have you seen them grow, and what kind of team do you think you're walking into?
Yeah, I think, obviously early in my career, it was, deep in the rebuild, and in these past couple of years, you can see that the compete level is definitely been higher, and it's just, you see a team that's, maybe frustrated with being in a rebuild and wants to get out. So I'm excited to be here and, kind of join that and hopefully be part of the solution to get out of that. So like I said, I'm just really excited to join these guys, and I definitely see the potential in this group.
And then could you just kind of take us into your finding out about this yesterday? Like, when did you know? Where were you? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I was just sitting at home, with my wife and my baby, and we got the call, and we were obviously very excited. Told my parents, and they were super excited too, so that made it that much better. And yeah, just we kind of had a chill day yesterday, and kind of came together pretty quick. So it was very exciting.
Thank you.
Nolan?
Hey, Alex. Obviously, a lot of people are pretty excited about the hometown angle. I'm just curious, where did you start playing, and are there any local rinks that mean something special to you?
Yeah, for sure. I started playing in Farmington Hills, where I'm from. I played for the Farmington Hills Fire for quite a few years, and at Farmington Hills Ice Arena. So, that rink's pretty special to me. And then I moved on to play for Victory Honda, which I've trained at for the past couple of years too. So, going to that gym and skating there. So yeah, those rinks are obviously, special to me, and, I've had a lot of good memories there. So it's just nice to be back here and enjoy this.
Thank you.
Bob? Go ahead, Bob. I think Bob's frozen. We're going to skip over Bob, go to Sam.
Hi, Alex. I'm curious as I guess what the challenges were of negotiating a sort of medium to long-term extension in this time when the future of the salary cap is, I guess, so uncertain. Is that something that was sort of stressful to you, or does that, like, your management sort of takes care of it for you?
No, my agent usually takes care of that for me. Like I said, I try not to worry too much about it. Feel like it was a fair deal on both sides, and I think that's why we got it done so quick, and just excited to be here, and I'm happy to be here for the next 4 years.
Thank you.
John, you?
Hey, Alex, congrats. I'm curious, who was your favorite player on those Red Wings teams when you were younger?
I'd say Datsuk was probably my favorite guy to watch. I think, obviously, growing up watching him, you see all the stuff he does. It's, pretty impressive and fun to watch. And he was probably, the most exciting player for me. So I'd say I watched him the most intently.
And why jersey 93?
My brother's birth year is 93, and I had it when I was younger at Victory Honda, so obviously couldn't be 12 here, so I thought that was the next best thing.
And then last one for me, this is now your third team in 3 seasons, I guess, in a way. So how excited are you to just sort of settle in somewhere again, like you had in your career?
Yeah, very excited. I think it's tough not necessarily knowing where you're going to be, and moving around a lot. So it's nice to have that security for 4 years for us and my family, and just settle down here. It's nice we don't have to leave home to go play. So I think it was just a great fit for every aspect of our lives.
And I lied, last one. Your wife is from here too, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, she's from Clemson.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Harley?
Alex, welcome home, I guess. I'm sure it must have been exciting to get that deal done with the Wings, but for Steve Yzerman to be the one to call you and get that deal done, how cool was that moment as a Michigan kid?
Yeah, it's definitely a very cool, part of it. I think obviously I grew up watching him as well, and you see him pretty much win everything and be the leader of one of the most successful teams throughout my childhood. So it's definitely cool to be able to get that call from him yesterday and talk, and I'm excited to be here and get to know him more, and hopefully have some success here.
Absolutely. And you mentioned your parents being probably the most excited for this deal. Is it to see you in a winged wheel, or do you think it's to have their grandbaby close?
Probably a little bit of both. Maybe maybe to have their grandbaby closer. So I know they missed him a ton last year, and it's definitely going to be nice to have him grow up close to home and be able to be with his grandparents more.
Beautiful. Thanks so much.
Art?
Hi, Alex. I guess probably unbeknownst to you, you've started a little bit of a debate with the hat that you've chosen to wear. The Pistons went back to the teal, and the fan base either loves it or hates it. Is that the Pistons logo of your youth? Is there a story behind the hat?
No story. I think it's just a cool hat. I think I like the teal jerseys. I think it might even been a little bit before my time of watching them, but I like it. I think it's definitely old school, and I like the color scheme.
Really? So will we see you at Little Caesars Arena on your off nights watching the Pistons?
That's a possibility. I don't know. During the season, I like to lay low a bit, relax and focus for the next game. But if we have a couple games or a couple days off in between games, you could maybe see me there. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what Kachuk did last year in Calgary, saying I'm not going to sign a long-term deal. Do you think that's kind of, I don't really remember a lot of players doing that when they, just making it somewhat public. I know the Ottawa stuff seemed to be underground. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but is that kind of the wave of the future now where players are letting teams know that I'm going to be looking somewhere else? I mean, were you inspired by maybe what he did last year?
I guess I didn't really look too much into it. I guess I can only speak for myself. I think, we spent a year there and we just didn't really, have enough time to really, think about signing long-term there. And I think there were probably better fits out there for me. So, that's kind of why we said we were gonna go not sign long term at that time, and you know, they made the decision to try to get something for me and avoid me walking for free next year, I guess. So you know, I think it was kind of, you know, once I said that, I think the writing was on the wall and they were ready to move me. So but yeah, I can only speak for myself. I'm not sure if that's going to be a new trend or not.
You know, I know it's all said and done, but did you have other options or was it Detroit the whole time?
I think Detroit was obviously I think my number one. You know, there were definitely other teams, I think, but in the end, I'm happy I'm here, and you know, happy to join this team, and I think this team's got a lot of potential.
When you look at the Red Wings power play, which has always been a work in progress, even during the great years, what do you think that you're going to be able to add to that? Is it just that quick release, just get me the puck and it'll be in the net?
Yeah, I think I can definitely add that you know, extra scoring punch. I think you know, there's still a lot of great players on the power play, and I think, you know, we can just build chemistry throughout the year and hopefully you know, be a top team on the power play. I think that's a lot of games are won on special teams. So if I can bring that little extra threat on the power play, I think I'm doing my job.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
All right, those are all the questions we had today for Alex. Thanks everyone for joining us, and Alex, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks guys.